All right. Hello and welcome everyone to the Black and Gold. This is HiBruiNation, the unofficial home of your Boston Bruins. Woo! My name's Goosey, joined as always by your favorite co-host, Higgy. How we doing?
Just living the dream. Another lukewarm ass week. Let's go.
Living the Higgy dream. And the, of course, and ever so popular vibe, Captain Matty V. How we doing, buddy?
What's going on? Like Kyle said, lukewarm week. Really nothing great for most of it, but I think made up for it on Saturday in Vancouver.
All right, guys. Well, we got a lot to talk about tonight. We're going to talk Wahlstrom. Bruins acquisition recently, I believe that was as of yesterday. Matt Patra's heater down in Providence, our weekly breakdown, and much, much more. But first, let's chat, guys. Let's just chat. I don't know. You said it was a lukewarm week, right? I don't know. Felt sour.
It's not lukewarm. It's so cold right now. Studio V needs. If anyone out there knows a good heat guy, Studio V needs some heat because I am freezing my ass off.
Buddy, Target's got some space heaters on clearance for you. It'd be perfect time to go scoop them up.
I tried that. I need someone to wire something for like into the fucking panel for me. I tried a space heater and it tripped everything.
Your brother's an electrician.
Space heater?
And he's useless.
I don't know. How do you figure that? Dude? Your brother's an electrician. You need to run a wire? How difficult could that possibly be?
No,
Actually,
I don't know what I need because I don't even know the kind of heater, but I know I need something. Studio V cannot go on like this. And the cold weather is just starting.
Dude, it's going to be awesome.
I think you should actually just set up a live feed of yourself trying to wire that in.
Honestly, I'd tune in and watch it every freaking day, dude. You know,
I'd blow myself up.
Dude, the weather's getting colder though, but imagine, like, let's see if we can actually get some damn ponds to freeze over this year for some pond hockey. You know what I mean, dude? Like, it's been what? Over the last few years, that's nothing but all that I've wanted more in this world is just to go out and skate. And,
when is
the
last time you guys skated on a pond?
Fuck. I don't know.
It's 10 years ago.
It's gotta be like 5 or 6 years now, right?
More. For me, probably 10 years. I don't know, because the last time I think I skated on a pond was with Cummings, actually. A long time ago.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure the pond that I was on doesn't even exist anymore. I think it probably dried up.
I don't think it's that old, Vogel.
We had a pretty cool one. I think it was technically in Nashua, so it was like 20 minutes from campus, but the town flooded I think it was either a basketball court or like a soccer field next to a park. And they basically maintained it for pond hockey all winter. So it was actually pretty sweet. So it's like every time you'd roll up there, even weeknights, there'd just be a game going on. You kind of just step in, play for a little bit, step out. You got some old guys, young kids. It was a pretty good time. But yeah,
we need more of that.
Maybe junior year. Yeah. Let's just start
more.
flooding parks. What are they going to do?
Dude, I wish.
What are they going to do?
Yeah, call the cops. Little losers. I have a small pond in like my apartment complex, but it's like one of those weedy type ponds, so it's not like you can go skate on it because it'd be extremely choppy. But I don't know, like I could probably flood something in my apartment complex and just just leave a sign that says "Cars, please don't drive down here." Ice.
Just go for a swim. Like chopping down the weeds.
You know, in Wakefield, they're Lake Quannapout in Wakefield, dude. Like, I think part of that like froze over like 6 years ago or something like that, but it was enough like in a shallowy part where you could actually skate on it. I can't remember exactly when that was, but I wish
we should find if there's a place over the winter that freezes. I'm sure there is somewhere in New England.
Oh, for sure.
But we should find a weekend to go play pond
somewhere in all of New England.
Dude,
somewhere relatively close. I'm not trying to drive 6 hours to Caribou, Maine.
I hear I hear the weather north of Bangor is quite chilly this year, so like we could probably find something up there. Like, yeah, where the fuck do you want to go? Like, of course, somewhere in New England probably has.
No, somewhere close. That's not gonna, put us out. Let's plan a pond hockey weekend.
Okay, fine. Yeah, there's probably some spot in Vermont, dude. I want to go up to Vermont. We go skiing out there too. That'd be some shit. Could I get you on some skis? Can I see that? Can I see Daddy V go down some slopes?
I've never skied. I'm dying to try skiing first.
Hold on, you never skied before?
No.
Oh my god. No. I feel like you would just do nothing but eat shit, but have nothing but the most fun doing it.
No, inflate a tube, I'm there. but I've never tried skiing, and I want to try it.
Inflated tubies there, the tubing, dude. I wish. How long has it been since I can't even count? I want to go tubing. I kept
Yeah,
on
somebody
telling my neighbors on.
shit talk tubing because you can't.
You can't. No, you can't. It's better than anything else. It's like what, dude? Water tubing too. Snow tubing, water tubing. Name it. I'm there. Any one of
Floating
those
on a
activities.
tube.
Down the Sacco, case of
Yeah,
beer
it's
right
all
by,
great.
right by. It's all great, dude. It's all great.
It's all great.
What wasn't so great was this week. What Bruins went 1-2 on where they should have probably gone. I don't know, 2-1, I guess. But they winnable games. But before we can get into that, but let's touch base on the some bare naked news with the acquisition of Oliver Wahlstrom, who was claimed off of waivers on Saturday from the New York Islanders. He was a former first round pick in 2018, 11th overall. How did you guys feel?
I saw him get put onto waivers, and just in the back of my head, I was just like, I could see us entertaining that. News came out, and I was like, everyone got like the tweet that was basically just his highlights.
Yeah,
So we don't know, or at least I haven't watched much of the player as a whole, but no, I think it was like his entire tenure with the Islanders, pretty much. So this year's been pretty dog shit for him, but honestly, I mean, the Islanders are now last in the league in PK, last in the league in power play, so nothing's going right for them. His whole thing coming into the draft was he's offense first, basically offense only. Gifted goal scorer, high offensive IQ, but can't be bothered to play any sort of defense. Okay, and you're playing in the Islanders system that basically only gives a shit about defense, so it isn't very shocking to me that he didn't really catch on or find his groove there. But I think that you're taking a low risk gamble on a 24-year-old former first round prospect with offensive pedigree who's at least shown that he can score at the NHL level. So I don't see why you couldn't make that case. So how about this? Can anyone give me a reason why we shouldn't have taken that chance?
No,
I can't.
He's free, dude.
He said, I don't know a ton about the ins and outs of the Islanders. I've heard that it's a pretty solid pickup. I like that he's a local kid. You always like to see that. I'm sure people have seen the video circulating Twitter of the mini one-on-one from 2009 that took the hockey world by storm with that spinorama goal. Wahlstrom was born to score goals at the Garden just by that clip. So I hope that's a good sign. I know so far this year he's played 27 games for New York. He has 4 points with 2 goals and 2 assists, which isn't stellar. But it'll be interesting to see where they slot him into the Bruins lineup.
Yeah, I agree with Vogel. You have to take a risk on this guy. I think the second I found out he was placed on waivers, I immediately tweeted him like, "This is someone that the Bruins should consider going after because he's a right winger. You're in desperate need of some right-handed shot depth, especially on the right wing side. You have Brazeau as your second line right winger. That's not exactly great." And because Morgan Geekie, I believe, is playing on the first line left wing right now. It's not a wonderful style. So welcoming in a guy like Oliver Wahlstrom, who had a tremendous upside while he was drafted, I just think it was an unfortunate circumstance of the team he was drafted by. The New York Islanders haven't been good in a long time. I mean, they've been carried by Ilya Sorokin, their goaltender. They've been carried by a lot of their defensive play, but if you look at their offense as a whole, they've never been an offensive team, and they've never really catered to high powered offensive figures. I mean, look at the likes of Jonathan Tavares. He left, and a guy like Matthew Barzal is still there, but he's not really doing much of anything, and he's a scorer. So I think taking a gamble on Wahlstrom at $1 million. Look at it too, guys. It's $1 million. You know what I mean?
And it's 1 million prorated too.
Yeah, it's an RFA, and he's an RFA. Like, you know what I mean? So if it works out, great. if it doesn't work out, someone just said, oh, let him walk at the end of the season. No, trade him at the deadline so you can get like a 6th round, 5th round pick. Get an asset out of him. There's something that you can gain from signing or from taking him on, whether it be you can get rid of Brazeau maybe later on, which I don't think people are for, but now like you have bargaining chips at the trade deadline that you could work with. So I think
you guys remember when we took 3 players over Matthew Barzal and where they are now?
That never happened in 2015.
Yeah, I actually
we skipped that year.
I paid like a strip mall psychic to try to like do the little metronome thing to convince me that time in my life never actually happened.
Just a fun
so
little
now I'm gonna have to go
thing
repay because you brought that back up. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Vogel.
Yeah.
I thought it was good. Yeah, the vibe captain bringing down the vibes. Way to remind everyone of that.
Listen,
that atrocity.
I'm bringing up the vibes. I think that for a pretty shitty week, I think it ended pretty well.
It was a shitty week, but it's not like any of those games. I mean, aside from the Vancouver game, the Bruins just took control over that game. But going into the third period of the former 2 games in Winnipeg and in Seattle, they were winnable games. They weren't. It's not like the Bruins were down 7-1 going into the third. They collapsed in both the third period of those games. Like, you know what I mean?
Let me ask you this though. Do you find that more or less concerning? Because it's not like they went in and didn't show up. So this is 2 games against, let's not give the Kraken more credit than they deserve. So you go in against Winnipeg. Winnipeg's a very good team, likely to be a contender this year. I don't think any of us here really, you might have wanted a win there. I don't think anybody like truly expected a win there. And from the jump, you looked a little outclassed, but you played them well. And then the wheels just fell off. So was it a matter of them not being up to it, or was that the best that we were going to get out of this team, and that's what they look like against a top-tier opponent? So I'm kind of up in the air where I want to say, oh, it was just a bad third period, or no, it was a really good 2 periods just to sort of hang in the fight just to then get dismantled at the end.
I think it's mental toughness. I think it was mental toughness. It was mental toughness and the inability for the Bruins to finish their chances on both those games, because they were peppering Hellebuck and Grubauer with shots. Like, they were doing, they just couldn't get a bounce to go their way. So I think it was mental toughness, the inability to finish their chances, and then obviously in the case of the Winnipeg game, it was the penalties again that killed them. But I think this is something that Wahlstrom can come in and kind of help. Like, you don't need to just lean on a guy like David Pastrnak. And Higgy, you mentioned that he doesn't play much defense. You got enough two-way for. You have 4 other players on the ice. You just need a guy sometimes to be a body in the defensive zone, to be in the way of something. You don't need him to be as prolific as Bergeron was, right? You're never going to get that out of players. You do just need some offensive-minded players, and I think that's what the Bruins were lacking. You got to be able to rely on Marchand, Lindholm, Zacha, or like, I mean, I'm not relying on Pastrnak to have a complete 200-foot game. I'm not relying on that. I'm relying on him that once the puck breaks out, I want him to score a goal. That's what we have defense for.
And I mean, you're rostering like 35 centers for 12 forward spots, so
yeah.
You'd hope that the rest of the guys can pick up the slack. Yeah. It's just like an entire team of centers, so I hope somebody can.
Yeah, we're saturated at center. I think at least we have, the way I have it like made out, is like we have 2 centers basically on effectively each line.
We got to lead the league in third line centers rostered for sure.
Oh, 100%. And where do you guys think, we'll wrap up with Wahlstrom, and then we'll go into Patra, and then we'll kind of really dive deep into the week. Where do you guys see Wahlstrom fitting in? I mean, he's 24 years old. He's 6'2", 204 pounds. Like I said, he's a right wing, right-handed shot. Where do you put him, or where do you want to see him start?
Top 6 immediately. I think if you're going to try and play him, if you think there's something there, if you think that you can sort of get him to find the gear that he never seemed to find when he was with the Islanders, it's not going to happen playing on any of the bottom 6 setups that we have. So you're please take Geeky out of the top 6, plug him into whatever line you think he works better with. I don't want to see Pasta and Zacha separated. So those two need to stay together. However else you want to finagle it, feel free.
Vogel, what do you think?
I agree with that. I'm fine with taking Geeky out of the top 6. I think that everyone probably knows if things stay where they're at, that Mark McLaughlin is going back to Providence, and Wahlstrom will fill that spot. So maybe bump Geeky down into that McLaughlin spot. Kind of a good segue here. Do you think that if you do that and you put Wahlstrom on the top 6, do you think that hinders Patra's return back into the NHL with how he's performing in Providence? Because you guys have just said it. How many third-line centers do we have? We have centers playing wing. We just brought in another wing, which probably – I mean, there's too many pieces for this roster. And they're all, like you said, bottom 6 guys that we're trying to plug and play with. So do you think that signing Wahlstrom –
they all fill the same role?
I think Patra's going to eventually be your second line center. I think he's going to grow into that. I mean, he's tearing up Providence right now. I don't think the acquisition of Wahlstrom is going to hinder it. In fact, I think that will send McLaughlin down. I think you're probably going to see Koepke come out of the lineup. I think you're going to see Johnson come out of the lineup. And I think you're going to see the return of, I actually have it written down, they'll probably do Zacha, Lindholm, Pasta, Marchand, Coyle, Wahlstrom, Trent, Patra, Geeky, Beecher, Kostelic, Braz. That's what I'm thinking. And it's no disrespect to Braz or Geeky or any of those, but you had something in that third line last year with Trent, Patra, and Geeks. And I think, with him starting to come up to ramp in speed down in Providence, I think Patra's ready to take that step back into the lineup and do what he did last year. And then Braz would just be another strong addition to that fourth line, everything else.
So in that scenario, now you're talking 3, maybe 4 guys that are out of the lineup and just kind of plug them in occasionally.
Well, yeah, you have they'll have a full 23. Yeah, they'll have a full 23-man roster. And Koepke and Johnson can rotate in and out. I don't think they're going to send down Koepke at all. I think he belongs there. I think he's shown that he can do a lot of things. His speed is phenomenal. And then so in terms of your 3 people that sit out, it's going to probably be Wahlstrom, Koepke, and Johnson once Hans Lindholm is healthy. You know what I mean? Because I see the defensive pairings being Lindholm, McAvoy, Zadorov, Carlo, and Lowry and Peak. That's what I see it as, if I'm going to be honest with you.
I don't disagree with that.
Is anyone else really sick of having to watch McAvoy and Zadorov play together?
I'm just really sick of seeing Zadorov on the ice.
Well, yeah,
I'm really sick of seeing McAvoy on the ice, so we're on the same page.
I think they're I think the defense is in their own head, man. And that's another thing. Why don't we get to Patra and then we'll get to the defense being in their own head, probably, because I think that's a good thing that we can talk about too as we do our weekly breakdown. Patra's on a 6-game heater right now. He's got 6 straight games with at least a goal and some additional points, right? He's tearing it up. So you got to anticipate they got to call him up at some point, right?
I think it's going to happen sooner rather than later. But with this Wahlstrom signing and where he's going to plug in, I don't know what they're going to do once Patra gets back.
All right, so it's really simple. You just take Geeky and you shoot him into the sun. That opens up a spot. You take Koepke, you tell him, hey, pal, you can sit and watch. That opens up another spot. And then you put in 2 guys that actually have talent. It's crazy. You could just make room. We can just do it. We can just get rid of them.
They have the space. Okay, Geeky can stay in the lineup. I don't think there's anything wrong, but he's more of like a middle 6 individual, in my opinion, and he's more prolific in the third line. I think that's where he's best served. But yeah, definitely take Koepke out. Braz has shown that he deserves to stay in the lineup. So I think, like I said, Koepke and Johnson are your 2 odd offensive people out of that 23-man roster, and then Wahlstrom is likely going to be your 7th D-man. And then they'll.
Yeah,
up and down as they need.
I'm being facetious, but if you're using Geeky as any sort of blocker to putting in a guy that has talent, has pedigree, and has been on a heater, then I think you're nuts. I think at best he should be an okay third line player. So I don't want him stopping us from being able to implement any of these guys who actually have any sort of real upside. Like if you're using that as the excuse for why you can't put Patra into the lineup, then definitely back to rocket into the sun for sure.
100%. 100%. Let's get into that because I think Patra is going to be called up soon. I don't think he'll be called up while they're away. I think you'll probably see it when they're back home. It's only an hour drive from Boston to Providence, so I think you'll see it then, unless there is an emergency situation. But until then, I think he'll stay with Providence. But
Well,
I would
even still,
imagine
Wahlstrom is joining the team in Calgary. No,
I don't know. I didn't see, and I was trying to figure out where. They probably announced
Yeah, it'll be
when. I mean, he
interesting.
was
I haven't
claimed,
seen anything on that.
but I'd imagine like he's probably already with the team. There. I know Marchand had spoken to him, but I don't think he'll be inserted immediately into the lineup. Maybe like one or two practices with the team to get familiar with the system, and then probably be inserted maybe Saturday against Buffalo. He could be inserted, or he could be inserted right away. I don't know. I mean, he's an NHL. Wahlstrom's an NHLer for sure. It's 100%. He is an NHLer. I think he's an NHL player, despite a lot of people critiquing only 71 points in 220 games. Again, I just look at the team he was
I think
on.
more than that, it's like the last couple of years for him have been pretty tough, unfortunately. So he had like two decent years early on, where it looked like he was kind of going to pop. I think he had like a 13 goal season and something similar to that.
Yeah.
But the last 2 or 3 have been pretty dismal. Yeah. So last year was 6 points, 32 games. Year before that was 16 points, 35 games. So it's kind of been a downward trend for him, which has sort of been the key here. But the other thing too is like they've never given him more. Like the highest time on ice average he had was like technically his first quote unquote full season, and it was still under 12 and a half minutes. So it's like I don't know what they were expecting out of a guy with a first round pedigree if you're playing him 11 minutes a game.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, so I'm excited to see what he has, especially I think if they slot him in with Marchand and Coyle. I think because you're going to add another weapon on that line. It's another big body on that line, and you know how good Marchand is with the puck and how Coyle is with the puck. So I think you can start reuniting and elevate. Coyle's a second line center in my opinion, as it sits right now. That's his role. He's good at it. I can't justify spending $5 million right now on a third line center. So that's where I think he belongs.
I also think too, before we move on to the games from this past week, have you guys seen the rumor mill on Twitter about a lot of teams being interested in Trent Frederick?
I have.
So that's another
Yep.
factor you got to take into consideration too with these roster moves.
I don't think they want to trade Trent. I don't.
Are you listening? Would you be listening?
Would I listen and see what I can get? Sure. Knowing that potentially that Marchand's retirement could be on the horizon. The prospect pool is looking pretty dry in the left wing spot because I think you have Merkulov as your natural left winger. Lysell did come in as a left wing. He has sensibly transitioned to a right wing. But I think he can play both sides. So yeah, maybe you do take calls on him and wonder like what you could do. But again, you don't have that left wing depth, and we don't have that. So it all depends on what we get.
Yeah, I just thought that was worth noting. There's been no confirmation of teams or any return, but it seems like the rumor mill is starting to turn.
Yeah, he's a high energy guy, dude. He's a good third liner. Like he would be a guy that anyone wants on their third line. He probably is going to get somewhere between 3 and 4 million next year. That's where I see him. So yeah, I'd take a call on him and see what the market's like. But he's someone I want to keep.
So you want to re-sign him? You want him here long term?
I would. Yeah.
I would, but I don't have to. So if you're getting calls on something that makes you better for the future, and I'm not like I don't know. I don't know if I'd want just straight draft capital, because I don't really trust this front office to draft
He,
either. But like if
he's
there was like
26. Yeah.
a return for him that, yeah, it's like I'm not locking him up long term. I'm not giving him a raise, and I don't really want to invest in him long term either. Like if you want to keep him around for what he's already making or
No,
shooting
you
even
got to
less,
figure.
which he just isn't going to do.
You got to figure a team is going to pay him a little bit more. Like I said,
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Yeah.
He between 3 and 4 million isn't bad for a guy like him, especially with the cap going up. And I mean, we're projecting about 23 million in cap next year. So I mean, and a lot of the guys that need to be resigned are on the cheap-ish side of things. Like Wahlstrom needs to be resigned, Geeky needs to be resigned. I don't see Geeky making more than 3 or 4 million. I don't see Trent making more than 3 or 4 million. I don't see Marchand, going for the bag at this stage. I think he'll go 2 more years, maybe 6 million more, or 6 million a piece, and they'll cap him out at the veteran incentives. So I mean, there's 14 million right there, and then you have 8 million more. You got to sign Low Rye and Wahlstrom. He needs a prove it deal, so he'll be around 2 million, probably 2 years, 2.5, something like that. So if he works out, so you got to think about those things too. It's worth to keep. You know what I mean? Because I would do 4 years at 4.
Yeah,
at,
I think
at 3.5, 4 million for Frederick.
Sure, yeah, I probably would too. I honestly, just somewhere in the back of my head, like I get the feeling that he is thinking he deserves a raise, and that teams are going to be willing to sort of take a run at that. And I can't say I'd blame him for taking it, but I don't want to be the one that has to overpay him.
I wouldn't overpay him, but I would set a hard line with him, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Bruins would go to arbitration for it. So, we'll see where that goes. But yeah, Vogel, I did see the rumblings on it. Take calls, but unless for me, the team it has to be a good improvement. It can't just be getting rid of him for pennies on the dollar, and for just future sake. Because he's young.
I'm sure there's been mock trades out there and different teams that have been calling about him, but there's nothing been confirmed. So just thought it was something worth noting.
Higgy, you had something?
Another quick note out of something Vogel said. You mentioned Merkulov. Are we going to acknowledge the fact that the guy you just claimed off waivers is the exact same age as Merkulov and has over 200 games of experience by now? Like, when are we going to stop treating Merkulov like he's a prospect and realize that he's a 24-year-old player? He's either got it or he doesn't. Like, we should probably, give him a look, like a real look.
Yeah, I think that's part of the discussion too, and why teams they're taking calls on Trent, because Merkulov is a natural left winger. While he's also plays center. I think a lot of experts have him actually playing better as a centerman. Maybe they explore options. Maybe Beecher moves to the center. Kostelic moves to the right, and then you look at Braz, who's 27. Maybe they determine his value and they move up Merkulov to play on the fourth line, and then you have Merkulov, Beecher, and Cast. There's multiple iterations that the team could go through, especially in your bottom six. Those are probably the most the most areas where you'll see roster changes more frequently. So I don't know. You're right. Maybe we do look at it. You gotta give your prospects an opportunity. I've already banged it up on Lysell, right? Like I've screamed and I've said, like, just give the kid a chance. He's the only one I think down in Providence that hasn't had an opportunity to play in a real NHL game. And I don't know what they're waiting for with him. So, and like I said, you also signed Wahlstrom, right, Higgy? With this, so that also hinders Lysell. So what do you do there?
Yeah, it's like especially where it's like the one thing that you truly don't have is offense. Like you need to give yourself another look, and clearly the team agrees. They felt that there was enough desperation there that they should take the flyer on Wahlstrom and grab him off waivers. So clearly they're identifying that deficiency as well. So it's just like, well, you're willing to do that, but you're not willing to call Merkulov up and give him a look. Like, you'd rather plug McLaughlin in. So that is saying to me that either one, they don't think he's ready, or two, they don't think he has it, which is kind of terrifying.
One of the arguments I've heard is that they're waiting for Markelov and Lysell to kind of develop a little bit more of a two-way game. I said, but you can't wish for every single one of, like, I understand it's the Boston Bruins way, that where they build from, like, the defense out, the net out. They do, that's their style. It's always been how they play. But there's sometimes you just need to admit that you need a talented and prolific scorer, and then build the team around them. Like, if you have a stud, just on paper, your defense is really good, should be really good. Lindholm is a good defenseman. McAvoy is supposed to be a good defenseman. Zadorov is a potato, and Carlo is a good defenseman. Peak, I would say, is a good depth defenseman. Lohrei, it has been showing you signs of what he could be. So, I mean, it's not like the Bruins' defense is mediocre. I think if they actually figured it out, they'd be a really good team, a really good decor. So, I don't know. Those are my thoughts
actually,
on it.
I wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah. I mean, if you look up in that, I mean, they're big. A lot of times bigger defenses get you there. All right. Let's go to this week's Bear Down Breakdown. All right. The Bruins played 3 games this week, all of which were away. They're on a 5-game road trip right now. Now they have 2 more, and then they're back home this Saturday against the Buffalo Sabres. So they'll be playing against the Calgary Flames and Edmonton Oilers this week in their respective arenas. But last week they played the Winnipeg Jets on Monday. No, I'm sorry, not Monday. Tuesday. The Kraken on Thursday, and then the Canucks Saturday. They lost in a deciding fashion against the Jets. The 8-1 decision, and the Kraken a 5-1 decision, and then they won against the Canucks in a 5-1 decision. Vogel and I went 0-3 in our predictions last week.
No.
Yes, we did. Sorry, we went 1-3. We
1 and 2.
We went 1-3.
Give credit where credit is due. All right.
I think Higgy also went the same, because I think he had win, and then it was loss. Yeah, I think he had. I can't remember. No, I think Higgy went 2-3 on that one.
I think I went 2 for.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, he was 2-1 on the week.
Cool. Well, good. Congratulations, Higgy. You're this week's prediction winner for what it's worth. Cheers and kudos to you. Do you guys just want to tackle the Jets and the Kraken game together, because they felt very similar?
Yeah, I think that's a good way to do it. I also think that we could say that for a lot of this season, so it's kind of been a recurring theme.
Yeah,
it was a decent effort early on. I thought, at least in the Jets more so than the Kraken, but it was a hard fought struggle to sort of stay in it. The Jets more so than the Kraken, they didn't really undo it for themselves. You could kind of just see a bit of the mismatch. Jets played a quick game, and it seemed like it was a struggle for the Bees at times there. Got down early, but they didn't quit. They didn't fold. They stayed in it. And then the wheels just fell off. Obviously, the Kraken game was a bit more of the same story. But that was, you give up 2 power play goals in the first 5 minutes, and then that basically sealed the deal for you. So that was completely self-inflicted, whereas I feel like the Jets at least was a better showing of the teams duking it out and putting it out there versus sort of defeating themselves.
Yeah, in the Kraken game, the Bruins were down 2-0 in the first 5 minutes, and then I think in the Jets game they were already down 1-0 within the first 2 minutes. Right? It was kind of it was absurd.
Yeah, I think so.
And then in the first period in the Jets game, the Bruins are down 3-0. Sorry, did I say the Jets were down? The Bruins were down 3-0 at the end of the first period, and then I think it was just Boston was down 2-0 at the end of the first period in the Kraken game. I mean, they were very similar, right? I mean, you just saw the same stuff. It was penalties, turnovers, the turnovers and the penalties much more so in the Jets game, I think, and that's what killed them. And I think you're right. In the Jets game, they just couldn't get out of their own way. I also think in the Kraken game, they just couldn't get out of their own way. It was like singing the same song, just a different day.
Yeah, and the straight fact is the Jets are better than you are, which that unfortunately was on full display. I think I kind of went in with a little bit of clouded vision after the success of the previous week. I thought they would carry a little bit more momentum in, but it just didn't play out to be a very good matchup for us, and that was pretty tough to see.
Yeah, the two games were very similar in the sense that, like Kyle said, you put up a fight the first two periods, and the third period, the floodgates open, and obviously shit hits the fan. I was less upset about the Jets game because, again, they're a better team.
Me too.
I was expecting them to lose. Obviously not this bad.
Yeah.
But I was at Cam's house. Cam's house.
I was at Cam's house.
I was at Cam's house for this game.
We were just sitting there.
Couple Arnold Palmers, watching some hockey.
I still didn't think you were serious. I thought when you told me that you were stopping for Arnold Palmers, I'm like, okay, so he's probably getting like something spiked or whatever. No, the man actually shows up with like a brown bag. The guy looks like he just comes from the Packy. And then he's just like, oh yeah, you want some like gummy Skittles? I saw these here, so I had to try them. And then he pulls out 2 Arnold Palmers. I'm like, oh, okay, so you weren't kidding. Like,
I went to a gas station. Serious. That's the bag they gave me.
Yeah,
but everything's better with
don't
a
knock
couple
the APs.
Everything's better with a couple APs. But anyway,
I was waiting for him to pull out a pack of Spirit Yellows or like Marlboro Reds or dude. I was waiting for it. Like you're gonna be like that dad from the '80s with your
no, just some classic APs. But yeah, we were watching this game. Obviously, it didn't go well, and from the start, you knew it was going to be a bad game. You had it in the back, or at least we did, had it in the back of our mind that we're going to lose. I think I went to the bathroom and the score was 6-1. I came out and it was 8-1. So once those floodgates opened, they opened.
Yeah,
the Kraken one, I had that as a win, so this one kind of sucked. And also, I know I've said it a bunch of times, but we have to get in contact with the league. Everybody has to start this game, any game, at 7:00 Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah.
The Jets games are the worst.
The Jets game was manageable. I'll give them that. Like when you came by for the Jets game, that wasn't that bad. Like it was in 8:00. Like sure, it finished like what 10:30, whatever. Like, that's not that bad. But those 10:00 games, I know it's on the West Coast, but man, shit, that's freaking brutal, dude. Like I watched the Kraken game all the way up until like midnight. I was at work the next day, dying. And I'm just like, I am so freaking tired right now. It was.
I made it through the first period. I had to record the rest of the game, not go online all day, and then watch it on my lunch break at work.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I recorded them too. I made it to the end of the second last night, and then I just absolutely passed out on the couch.
Oh, last night I made the whole game.
Oh yeah, I made the whole game last night. Like on the weekend, the weekends are fine. Like the weekends, I can do that. But if you're doing that during the week, like what? Whose time are you respecting? Nobody's. If you're having them at a 10:00 game on the East Coast. Yeah, no, petition it. Note it down. We're gonna write it, and we're gonna riot.
We're coming for you, Bettman.
Yep, fuck that guy, dude. Anyway, I'm coming for him anyway. He's bum, fucking ugly, dude. The guy looks like a thumb. By the way, he's a freaking thumb. Like, you ever just look at him and just be like, God, you're ugly?
No, because I just want him to make all the games at 7:00 for me.
Just strictly, Vogel's gonna write Bettman a nice love letter at first, and then he'll get a nice like gentle decline from the NHL. He'll take one look at it and be like, what the fuck is this? And actually send him a bag of dog shit and light it on fire in front of Bettman's house. Like that's basically what he's gonna do.
Yeah. I've said it before. I want 7:00 puck drops. I want 90-degree corners. And I want an emergency backup goalie lottery. Oh, no, a super E-bug. So if the E-bug gets hurt, somebody at the game, it's like a raffle. They call your seat number and you have to suit up.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine if they do that, and then all of a sudden it's like this 5-year-old kid that gets called in, and they're like, "Oh, okay, I'm their parent. Can I do that?" And say like, "Nope," but the rules state that they have to be the person in the seat. Unfortunately, your son or daughter is just gonna have to suffer. It's like gonna be that episode from South Park when the kids face up against
like if Henrik Lundqvist is at a Rangers game, they could call him, or they could call a 12-year-old on a peewee team, and they have to take a slap shot from. I was going to say Chara, but that wouldn't make any sense. But you
listen, dude. Some of those peewee goalies, don't knock them, buddy. Like they might play better than some NHL goaltenders. Like I would probably take a peewee goaltender than Mrazek.
Cam, I'm going to knock them.
What do you mean you're going
to? I'm going to knock them. They're not going to do good in an NHL game.
Hey, okay, whatever. I think they do.
So anyway, I know Gary Bettman listens to this show, so 7 o'clock, 90-degree corners, and Super E-Bug Lottery.
I'm actually for the E-Bug Lottery. That'd be so cool. If that actually ever happened, that'd be freaking awesome. I don't know about the 90-degree corners. I feel like if we go back to that, it's gonna hurt a couple people.
I just think it'll be interesting. Make guys think twice.
Did you guys see Did you guys see the video of the E-Bug the other night running to the rink with his bag on his shoulder?
Yes.
Like running down the side of the road trying to get to the arena.
Wait, did we have an E-Bug?
E-Bugs are the best. E-Bugs are the best thing in hockey. I don't know if he went in, but he had to suit up. Yeah.
Oh man, that sucks.
They really are the best thing, and I don't know any other concept like that in any other sport.
I think I think if the E-Bug can't, or if the E-Bug goes down, I think there is a protocol that the goaltending coach goes in, or they can go in. Like they have layers that they go through, and I think after the goaltending coach, they're just like
bugs.
Maybe, dude, I have no idea.
So layers of bugs.
Yeah, they got layers of E-Bugs. Jamokes.
I want to see Bobby.
I'm just saying, think about it.
I'd be so down. That'd be so cool if I'm sitting at a Bruins game and they're like, guy in section 308, row 11, seat fucking 9. And then you're just like, oh shit, I'm going in. And then you're going to get knocked the fuck out.
Or it's the 100-year-old veteran who's sitting next to you.
There?
You never know who it's going to be.
Yeah, and then he just dies of a stroke on that. Yeah, it's great. Oh,
or he lights it up.
Should have thought about that.
True. Just put one of those. What was it? They have like one of those. They at the rink I skated. They have like it's not a goaltender, but they have like this hard plastic like cutout basically of a goaltender. You just put one of those in that. Yeah, you just put one of those in there.
Yeah, some of it was poor, so we had to make our own out of wood. So we just called it Woody. So yeah, Woody actually outperformed most of our goalies when we were growing up.
That's nice. I love talking about Kyle's Woody.
Woody took a beat.
It was everybody's Woody.
So, Woody took a beating.
Yeah, it was a communal Woody. Yeah,
we shared.
Communal Woody. Shared the Woody. Oh,
yeah, we slapped the fuck out of that Woody.
Wow, clacking Woodies. Oh my god. What were we even talking about? Bruins lost 5-1 in the same similar fashion. Bruins lost those 2 games. The winnable games, I thought, going into the third period, we won't beat that with the dead horse, but they just collapsed. They collapsed in the third, and it didn't seem like they came ready to play, and the other team just took advantage of it. Canucks game was last night at the time of this recording. A great 5-1 win. I think something that they desperately needed. And I know Vogel, you and I were kind of talking about it on the side that this was definitely something that they needed a convincing win somewhere, because most of their games have been close. They needed a 4-goal win, or they needed something to show that they could score. And I was surprised. I honestly thought Thatcher Demko was going to play so much better than he actually did. It was horrible.
Yeah, it looked like from the start they were in attack mode, and I don't know if that's because of the last couple games, but they played a full 60, and you haven't seen that much or at all this year. So that was a much needed win. I don't want to say it was a statement win, but it just goes to show you when they play their style hockey, they're going to win games.
And that's against a team I think that is also better than you.
Yeah.
I think the Canucks are better than you. They, Philip Roenick, underrated in my opinion. They have Pedersen, they have JT Miller. I mean, DeBrusque is lighting it up for them. If you look at it,
Crickets last night, though.
Yep, nothing. It was good. Connor Garland's good for them. I mean, they built a decent team that can go on a decent run, I think. But we'll see if Demko can play or not play, stay healthy. But last night was not a good showing for Demko.
No, and I don't. Typically, seeing the season we've seen, I think we know when to call it the goalie's fault. I don't think that was all on him. I think there were a lot where we actually, it was foot on the throttle, and they were back on their heels. I didn't think the team played very well in front of them at all. And I think the big takeaway from this game is the fact that your big boys were the big boys. David Pastrnak basically carried the entire team to the victory on that one, which is great to see because you haven't seen a ton of that from him this year. Yeah, he hasn't been able to impact the game the way that we're used to seeing from him so far this year. And I know there's been a lot of people saying things like, is there still a lingering issue? Does he still have an injury problem hanging around? He hasn't looked as quick as he has in years prior, but to see him sort of impose his will on the game for a change was certainly a real treat, and it came at the perfect time because, like we were all saying, it's like you lose 2 in a row. They were winnable games. The room's probably shaking a little bit going in. If you lose all 3, I think you're in a dangerous spot. So they needed a stopper. They needed someone to come and plug the bleeding to right the ship a little bit, and you got that from arguably your most important player. So having that guy step up when you need him most and impact the game as much as he did in the way that he did is huge.
Yeah, you can't lose 3 in a row all in the same week. You can't.
No, not in this road trip, because that's what road trips are for, right? They build camaraderie, they build up the team, and oftentimes they say sometimes it's not how you start, but how you respond to the adversity. And so I think, losing those 2 games, especially they responded well against Vancouver. You shouldn't have lost that game to Seattle, in my opinion. You just couldn't. They couldn't bury one to save their life past Grubauer. He played outstanding, and then Winnipeg was just an embarrassment. So yeah, in my opinion, the Canucks game was something you had to win. You had to win that.
And even with that, you win the Canucks game, which I think you probably should have won in Boston against them. You drop 2, which are tough, but that obviously isn't the kind of team that they are. I mean, you end the week, you're sitting 3rd place in the Atlantic. You're 16, 13, and 3. You got 35 points. You're not in a bad spot. You just can't make a habit of losing games like that.
Right. And I mean, the Atlantic is extremely tight right now. So, I mean, like going on major losing streaks, like you said, going on major losing streaks, you can't do it right now. A lot of the positions in that the league is in, they're really tight, and we don't see that. Like, the money puck, I think, what was it? Are the odds of teams making the playoffs? I don't know if you see that wheel that comes out, I think, every week or so, but it's not like these are major like percentage shifts that you're seeing. Like, you know what I mean? Like the Bruins last week were 75% making the playoffs. Now it's 40% according to that wheel. But that's a 35% change in 1 week. That's nuts. So that just shows you how tight these elements are right now, and that things can shift that much if you go on a 2-game losing streak. So, that's something to bear in mind. I think what it was, 1 power play goal, 2 power play goals that game. I can't remember specifically off the top of my head, but I mean the power play looked better, and I mean things that you want to talk about that had some bright spots. The power play's been looking a little bit better. They're moving the puck faster. They're shooting it. They're not wasting time or as much time as they were. And I think Vogel, even you and I talked about, like, up until the 3rd period in the Winnipeg game, it was really hard to say, is anyone really having a bad game, or are we just getting outplayed? Like, it's a case that you just look at, you know what I mean?
Yeah, nobody stood out. Nobody stood out too negative in that game.
Yeah, and then the Kraken game, I'd say it was a very similar effort, but they just couldn't finish any of the chances. So give and take there. So I think the team's been looking better, I think, despite what some of the scores have shown.
No.
Higgy looks like he wants to refute that.
No, I don't know. This team's just like an emotional roller coaster. It's just like you want to say, maybe they're just not that good, and then you can sort of dissociate from it. But then they have the rebuttal, like the game in Vancouver, where you're like, shit, maybe there's something there. Suck me back in. So it's just like you're just like constant highs and lows, where it's just like, fuck you guys, now I love you. Fuck you guys, now I love you. So it's just I can't get a read on like what side of the coin is what this team truly is. And you'd like to be like, oh, like it's still early. There's going to be a finding of the groove, but it's like we're almost at the halfway point. So maybe the uncertainty is what they are, which is certainly interesting to say the least. So.
Well, hopefully Wahlstrom gets us back to having some bit of our identity again. Another big body.
Putting a lot of faith in the waiver wire ad. I mean, I hope he clicks, dude. If he's our savior, we're kind of fucked. I don't know.
It's like my fantasy football league right now, which I'm doing absolutely horrible in. But like the waiver wire, man, like it's kind of crazy. Oh, I can't even believe it. But we're right here. We're right here for it. So.
You guys want to get into the Big Bad Bruin?
Yeah, let's get into that. Let's go, guys. Time for the Big Bad Bruin. Lead us off, Higgy.
All right. This is going to be a pretty easy one, seeing as there was basically only one game that you could pull anything positive from. Obviously, I'm going to go with David Pastrnak. So on the week, he had, what do we get, 5 points? 2 goals, 3 assists.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yep, 2 assists across the 3 games. The only one to score in the Jets game. But obviously, this pick is coming based solely on the effort put forth in the Canucks game. Basically, single-handedly willed the team and dragged the offense along with him. Another big key is this was another great game for the Pasta-Zacha connection. That seems to be the only combo on this team that routinely shows any semblance of chemistry. So obviously Zacha had a 3-point night himself, thanks to David Pastrnak. But yeah, it's great to see your big guy be your big guy. Having him come in and carry the team and drag them along with him into the fight was great.
Cam, who do you got?
I also have David Pastrnak. I think everything that Higgy said, I think it's time that he was also our Big Bad Bruin. I think it's time that he was kind of breaking through a little bit more. I mean, he's averaging, I believe, a point per game, about, if I'm not mistaken, or if not, just slightly over that. So he's your cornerstone of the team, similar to Brad Marchand. So, I mean, you kind of expect him to perform, but it's good to see that he's finally finding that offensive rhythm after struggling so much earlier on in the year to kind of like, pot goals. It seems like he's also taking on more of, he's willing to assist, as much as he is willing to score. So it's just good to kind of see him change. Great players will adapt, and I think that's exactly what he's doing, and he's learning how he can best serve the team in the best way that he possibly can, not just by scoring the goal, but by setting people up and getting it to a better opportunity for a goal to be scored for our team. So I think that's great. What about you, Vogel?
I also have David Pastrnak. 2 goals, 3 assists. He had 5 points out of 7 total Bruins goals for the week. They only scored 7. They scored 1, respectively, in both the Jets and Kraken game. Before the Canucks game, I had Blades as my Big Bad Bruin because it was just a really shitty week, and Blades is awesome. But I don't see there's any other choice here but to give it to David Pastrnak. I also have my notes here. Whoever Kyle picks that's not Pasta should send his ass right to jail. Because I would have bet money Kyle picked like John
hey
Beecher
guys,
or something.
That's a sweep.
is a sweep, and I believe
First
that's
one.
only the second one of the year, right?
I believe that is the second one of the year. So wow. Finally, fuck you, Higgy. We finally
I was
got
going
it.
to lose my mind if he picked somebody else.
I was gonna change my pick to whoever
There
he
wasn't too
picked.
many options.
He could have picked some random douche canoe from the crowd, or just been like Jake DeBrusque's aunt from down the corner of the street or something like that. I would have been like, that's fine. She's the Big Bad Bruin. I do not care. I would have went with anybody this week just to kind of get it.
If he picked anybody else, his ass would have went right to jail.
There's no way. Yeah, there's just no way. I mean,
I
don't think there was any other Bruin.
System.
You have a system? Is it fucking us over? Because most oftentimes that's what you do.
There's no system.
I can't divulge my secrets. Yeah, no, I can't divulge my secrets.
You can't. The master at work.
You guys,
over here. No,
if you guys want, you can subscribe to my Patreon. You can get the advanced analytics, and then you can.
Yeah, advanced analytics. It's you sitting on the toilet with the fucking notepad. Like that's his advanced analytics. You're gonna get a fucking.
They don't ask how. They don't ask how.
They ask how many.
Yep. Yeah, that's it, guys. That's the one, fellas. That's the one.
That's awesome, though. I love when we get a sweep.
Hey, dude, I'm all for the sweeps. Although you guys might be disappointed with my weekly predictions. That's gonna be coming up. But nope, David Pasternak, guys. There was no other question. He was it. That was the only guy that came to mind. So it wasn't even close in my mind. Blades was the only true number 2. If things in Vancouver didn't go well, guys. Next week.
You can't tease us like that. You got to go off first.
Oh, what, with me for the weekly predictions?
Oh, yeah.
All right, guys. Well, next week we got 3 games: the Oilers, the Flames, and the Sabres. We have I kind of went a little out of order there. We have the Flames on Tuesday, the Oilers on Thursday. Those are both away, so that'll round up the 5-game road trip. Hopefully
Thank God.
Yeah, I'm all set. I think the Flames game is 9. And I think the Oilers is 10.
They're both 9.
No, they're both
9. Both 9. Oh, I can survive it. Okay, that's that again. I mean, it's not great, but it's not so goddamn awful that I want to just whatever. I'm actually going to the game on Saturday, so that's gonna be awesome. Although I've never been to a Sabres Bruins game where the Bruins have won. So.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, so it's not great. So
thanks for that. If the Bruins lose, it's on Ken.
Yeah, not liking the odds, but I have actually a weak sweep. I think we should be able to pound the Flames, especially with the time off that we've had. So they've been able to rest and get acclimated. Some time in there. The Oilers I had as a toss up, if I'm going to be honest with you, but I think they have Draisaitl, McDavid, but I think even that team has struggled at times. And so I think Stuart Skinner is their biggest Achilles heel. I also think that their defense isn't too great. And the Oilers are very reliant on their high-powered offense. The Sabres are just Alex says it best in the Pucking Around podcast, and I think they're going to get canceled for it, but they're a terrorist organization because all they want to do is not just blow themselves up half the time, dude. It's nuts, and we should beat that team. We should. If we don't, I'm never going to another Sabres Bruins game ever again.
I can't. I had it as a sweep, but then I decided to change the Oilers game to a loss, just because I think the Oilers are good, and win, loss, win.
Higgy.
I also have win, loss, win. And most of that is based on, I was in my head, I was like, realistically, they'll likely lose one of the first 2 games. My thought for the Oilers is the fact that our team D this year has been less than stellar, and you're going up against a team with some pretty concentrated firepower. So I'd like to think that we'd match up better against the Flames than we do the Oilers, just from the top end talent standpoint. But again, their team D also not great, and their goaltending situation is questionable at best. So I could see that going either way. And then again, yeah, if we lose to the Sabres, that might be it for me, guys.
Real quick before we close out, who starts the games? in terms of goaltending? Flames. Who do you guys have?
I'm going to go Swayman for the first two, and then back home, Corpusalo takes the Sabres.
I could see that. Yeah, I could do that.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Vogel on that. I think I don't know where Corpusalo slots in. I don't think it's going to be against Edmonton.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, there's no way.
So it'll. I think Corpusalo will either get the Flames or the Sabres, but we'll see how that goes. We'll see how that goes. But I think Corpusalo at least plays one game this week. I can't tell you which one. I know I don't think it's going to be the Oilers, but I think Corpusalo does slot in because he's been good. So, and he's earned some looks. So there we go. Vogel, take us away. Take us out of here.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that will do it for episode 24 of HiBruiNation. Make sure you check us out at HiBruiNation.com for our blogs, our pre-games, game recaps, and much, much more. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe on all social media platforms, as well as to our website. Also, feel free to give us your thoughts and to be heard in the next episode by sending us a voice memo or a DM. In case you guys did not know, Africa is the only continent that can be found in all four hemispheres, with portions being located in both the north, the south, and also the east and west. Only continent in the world. As always, we love you guys.
But are there
and
flamingos?
until next time, go Bruins.
Fun Fact Sunday with Matty V.
Woo!